Welcome back to HM&E Review Things. I'm very excited. Today we are talking about Across the Spiderverse. Across the Spiderverse. Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. The follow-up, the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which won the Oscar for Best Animated Picture 4 years ago. And this is, I'm not going to bury the lead here. This was an amazing movie. I hold this as one of the best sequels of all time.
Wow, I mean, ever.
Like we're talking Godfather Part 2 kind of.
We're talking about Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
We're talking about T2, Terminator 2 Judgment Day.
Well, the thing with
We're talking Aliens.
those two, which are obviously excellent movies, I feel those are so tonally different from their first ones. Or like there was such a big switch, right? Whereas this feels very consistent. So I think Empire is a really good example. A very high example, but I feel it deserves to be mentioned in the same breath.
I mean, that's a hot take.
Yeah, this is
Big
right out the
claim.
gate. Right out the gate.
That's good.
What did you guys think?
For me, I really like this film. And I kind of went into it like actually with lowered expectations. Because, some of the stuff on the internet, they were talking about certain things that weren't working well. And I was like, you know what? This could work, because don't forget, Lego Movie 2, Lord and Miller again, did not do as well.
No, it didn't.
Although if you watch some of the video breakdowns, it's actually a very intelligent film. So I'm wondering whether...
I didn't watch the second one. Lego Movie 2,
so I'm wondering whether lessons learned from Lord and Miller, like, what we did in Lego Movie 2, like the twist, they adapted it really well in Across the Spider-Verse. Although I do have some issues, but it's actually issues outside the film, and I'll get into that later.
Okay. What's your top-level review, homie?
I think it is more or less the same as the first movie, but it expands the universe, the worlds.
Yeah.
Literally the worlds. And, I just enjoy the first movie because it's so groundbreaking in so many ways.
Yes.
It's really the visuals, not just the visual style, but the visual subtext. And also just the fact that it's the most authentic comic book adaptation to the actual medium of a comic book.
Sure.
You know what I'm trying to say? It's very different than typical MCU or the DCEU.
Right.
It literally is a 3D comic book.
Yeah.
So I think no movie has done that before. It does not look like a Pixar. It does not look like an animated movie that you've seen before. So on that ground, that medium itself, that platform, I really think it is groundbreaking. Yeah,
and I mean, maybe to Rob's point about some of the externalities, that the first movie was so groundbreaking in animation. It broke the mold. Everyone was trying to copy that Pixar style. They were like, no, we're going to do something completely different. And since then, a lot of movies have now tried to copy them and kind of use that style. I mean, even the trailer for the new upcoming Ninja Turtles, very kind of that kind of feel. And then so... I was a little worried as well that, that novelty, that groundbreaking of the first movie isn't there. Is there enough substance that they're going to be able to give us so that we avoid a Matrix Reloaded situation, right?
Right.
And I think, thankfully, we have, Okay, so that's our top-level stuff. Let's dive into spoilers. We will talk into little spoilers because I want to talk about this movie a lot.
You go for it.
A lot. I think the middle movies and trilogies are very difficult to do well. Because, again, let's look at that Star Wars archetype, right? A New Hope is groundbreaking, introducing you to this new world, opening your eyes to something so new, and at the end there's this climactic thing of blowing up the Death Star, victory, yay! Right? And then in the second one, usually in these second movies, in order to be successful, they have to tell a different perspective. They have to expand the world a little bit. And it ends kind of...
The heroes are at the lowest point.
At their lowest point, so that they build up for the third one, right? And so a lot of movies end up not doing that. And then, T2 and Aliens is a good example where it sort of ends victoriously, and
it's actually that third movie that's really hard to do well.
Yes,
there's almost I can't even think of a really good third movie. What's a good besides Lord of the Rings?
My go-to example is Last Crusade.
Okay,
which is a return to form, but the second one, again, they tried something different. And so this is an interesting conversation. Maybe it's even another episode of what makes a good sequel. What makes a good trilogy? What are the components that are needed?
Okay, but before you say that, did you know that this movie is a part 2?
Yeah.
Because I did not.
Yeah, I think most people in the theater did not.
Yeah, I did not either.
I did not know, and I remember watching toward the end, I was thinking, how are they going to wrap this up in 5 minutes?
Exactly.
And then the music swells, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a cliffhanger. And it was.
No, I did know. They announced that it was going to be 2.
I did not pay attention.
Okay. They announced that it was going to be 2. I think the third one, Beyond the Spider-Verse, is coming out in March of next year. So it's actually not too much. It's not too long.
It's not Fast X.
It's not Fast X. Yeah. They've written a full story and not making it up on the fly with Fast X. I mean, a really good example of Fast X in terms of Fast X ended so abruptly. It had no character development, right? It didn't tell a self-contained enough story. And it was just, this is the first half or first third of some story we might want to tell. Whereas this, every character had good arcs. Everyone kind of had their moment to shine. The world building was really, really good, but it still ties into a bigger, story that they're trying to tell. And the way that they were able to factor back in, the spider that had 42 on it, and that was from a different world. Whether that was planned or not, I don't know, but it's done so well that it could have been.
Yeah.
And that's great. Those are really, really good. When either they planned it all along or they wrote it so cleverly that it could have been planned all along.
Okay. You two guys are the bigger Spider-Man fans. Were there a lot of... How are the Easter eggs? And because there's a lot of things going on.
So that's actually one of the things I want to talk about. What we call fan service, right?
Yeah.
I really liked how they didn't force that down your throat in the beginning. They let it build up.
Okay.
Because I think that was kind of towards the second, even beginning of the third act.
Right.
If you look at how it's...
Yeah.
Because
it takes a while for him to get to Spider HQ.
Because the contrast, Doctor Strange.
Okay.
All right, Multiverse of Madness. I mean, that middle, they just threw in the Easter eggs, and there was no point in it, right? Whereas for Across the Spider-Verse, it made sense, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We got to repair, the ripples or whatever that was the damage that was done.
Yeah.
And we have this team.
Yeah. The canon effect.
Which again, Lord and Miller, I love this humor where it's like, oh yeah, it's only a select few members. There's literally thousands.
No. But she said it was a select few members as a way of explaining why they didn't invite him, why he wasn't invited.
But there are millions of these.
There are millions, but the reason he wasn't invited is because he's not supposed to be Spider-Man.
Okay.
That's what it's... I've seen the movie twice now. I went to see it today with my kids in the afternoon after... Anyway, I've seen it twice. And so...
No, but I'm saying the humor for me works, right? Saying that, you can't be part of the team. But so, the explanation... is great.
Yeah, sure.
But the humor they put into it is there's payoff, right? That's what I'm trying to say.
And the action sequences were all great, right? The first fight in the Guggenheim with the Vulture, all they're different. Each character had different, swinging and fighting styles. I loved Gwen, obviously, and I think in I don't know if it's in Spider-Verse. This is the Spider-Verse comic that introduced all of these spiders. And I think when Gwen is first introduced. In the first panel that she's in, it's and this is Gwen, Spider Gwen. We know she's already going to be your favorite. They just know that it's going to be a fan favorite, and she is, and played by Haley Steinfeld. I thought she did a great job, and and then the next action sequence I think is when they're in India or Mumbattan, with spider, and then there's the fight, with all the spiders chasing, and I just thought it was all done so well, visually so interesting. I mean, you talk about all the Easter eggs, and the Spider-Verse opened the Spider-Man universe to all of these crazy, the spider horse and the spider monkey and the Japanese Spider-Man with the big mech, and it's all in there, and there's so many of the references. Every single frame of that kind of headquarters fight could be frozen. When it comes to digital, there will be so many videos breaking down, and this is the Spider-Man, this is the Spider-Man, this is the Spider-Man.
It's a really deep dive. No,
but it doesn't rely on that.
No, and that's a good part. No, I don't know as much. So were all these Spider-Men in the comics, the Cowboy Spider-Man? These guys are all in the comics. They didn't make these guys up.
I think they probably made some.
And they included some from the film. You saw clips of Andrew Garfield
and Tobey. And they mentioned Tom Holland's Spider-Man, right? With, Doctor Strange and
that's right, yeah. They made a little quip
nerdy
about
kid from Earth 1999
Right.
But yeah, most of the Spider-Men, Spiders peoples, are in here.
Okay.
And actually there's more in here that aren't in there yet, and they probably did add some, like upon my second view, actually in the first one, when they kind of first tell Miles that, you're an anomaly, that and they trap him, there's all those silhouettes of all the spiders that are kind of surrounding him, right? There's one that's like wearing a parka and like a hockey stick. Yeah, I'm like, is she like a Canadian Spider Woman?
Toronto Spider-Man.
Who was that?
I have no idea.
It's Canadian Spider-Man.
It's
Arctic Spider-Man.
Because my son Christopher, who loves hockey, he's into the Stanley Cup Finals right now. He's like, hey, look, there's a hockey player.
I noticed that too. I did notice that too.
Yeah. And then, other stuff like Ben Reilly, the Scarlet Spider, which you were mentioning is one of your favorites. And
Overpower.
You like him from Overpower? Yep. But it's like, you don't have to know his history to kind of, understand that comedy and to understand that character. And it works. And yeah, you don't need to understand the Easter eggs. But if you do, it's kind of an extra layer for the fans.
Yeah, one of my favorite cameos was when Lando Calrissian showed up. I was like, oh,
I know. And,
wow.
Well, and so this is the best multiverse movie we've had.
This is your everything everywhere for this year.
100%. It's the exact same feeling. And you gave the same sort of feedback that this is a great movie, but visually it's just a little too much. Like you understood, like with everything. I mean, you can go back and watch a review on it. But you understood and you appreciated, what was there as very good. But you just felt it was,
and that's a very just a personal because I totally understand why they're doing it. They're not doing it by accident. It's not stupidly done. Yeah. But this was quite intense, and I think the length of the movie is a little bit long. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is like a sub-commentary on society, but I think all of us agreed that when we went to watch this movie, there was a lot of restless teenagers in my theater. That, interesting enough, that there's so much thrown on the screen. Every sequence is bright, bold, stylistic, cool. But some of these guys didn't seem interested. They were talking, chatting, throwing popcorn. Some were on their phones.
Yeah.
And I've seen movies.
We went to 3 separate showings, and we had similar experiences.
Right, but I don't remember the last movie I've seen. Yeah. And we watch a lot of movies where this has happened. So is that some kind of meta thing that's going on?
When was the last movie that you saw that the theater was that packed, though?
I think Fast X was pretty packed.
Was it? Maverick was probably pretty packed,
but definitely Maverick.
That's a skewing an older audience.
So that might be. Is that a commentary on like what audience is pulling to?
Maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
At the same time, even though so much is happening out there, these guys are distracted with this little device, and I was kind of insulted. I thought, this is like artistry in motion, and you guys seem like you're just.
This is very get off my lawn, old people. Yeah. Appreciate this movie, you young people. Get off your phones.
I was just more annoyed they were talking.
Live in the moment. Yeah, I know.
Because I'm trying to hear the dialogue.
Yeah.
And it's already not easy to hear.
Some of the sound mixing was a little off, and it was a little difficult to hear.
Yeah, I had a hard time hearing what Spider-Punk was saying.
Yeah. Yes, Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah. I didn't really understand his visual. Why is he kind of looking like he's cut out? I know it's a stylistic choice.
I think that's just his thing. I don't think he's always like that, because I've seen him in this normal
He looks like the 1970s punk kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
it's really neat. So he's Spider-Punk.
Yeah.
And so he plays a guitar.
That's right.
And he's fighting like a fascist government, but they're all Venom controlled.
Okay.
And because Venom is vulnerable to sound.
Oh, interesting.
And so he pulls in big speakers and he plays.
It's a cool look.
It's very cool.
So I was watching Into the Spider-Verse now.
Okay.
I find that one was, even though that was already quite intense, it had less of it. Now I understand
it's easier to track.
It's easier to track. This one, the background's moving, and I don't know if you noticed this, but a lot of shots felt like I thought I didn't have my 3D glasses on.
Yeah, but they did that on purpose.
On purpose, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, blur out a lot of stuff, and I don't know if that was distracting to me. I understand these are all very deliberate choices.
Yes.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it was a little bit long. I wouldn't say there was a wasted shot, but there was some lingering shots that probably didn't need to be there. I actually enjoyed. I was looking for some breathers in there, whereas like I like the moments where they're just talking.
Yeah.
But I was like, when you're talking, does the background have to move that much? Does it have to be that bright? Can we just talk and nothing's happening? So I needed a few of those for my eyes because I felt kind of overwhelmed coming out of this movie. Again, a very old person thing to say, okay? But I did enjoy the movie a lot. I think it is super groundbreaking, and everybody who worked on it should be very proud.
Yeah. Well, one of the points I also want to bring up too is this is how, certain things that are animated have the advantage of, like especially for comic books, like you know how they had the dual shots where you see one perspective and another perspective, like. And sorry, I don't want to nitpick on Little Mermaid, but I'm going to, right? Like in the animated universe, you have pretty much more freedom to express yourself, right? Like if you look at some of the sequences they have. Imagine trying to adapt this live action. Yeah. No, I think it would fail. Right? Because you have part of it is storytelling, but then visual, of course, plays such a huge role in it because the visuals alone tell a story, right? I think that's one of the reasons why this film also works because of the fact that it's animated.
Yeah, this definitely could not work as a live action.
It is a live action. It's MCU. In some ways, I feel like this is like a love letter to comic books.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah. The MCU is not really that. It's sort of
creating a movie version
of comic books. But this is sort of like your best job at adapting this medium onto the big screen for a movie motion picture.
Yep. But I thought the pacing was good in terms of some of those downtimes where they're talking. Yeah. And one of the few major threads was Gwen's relationship with her father. Yeah. To your point, the backgrounds, there would just be A/B shots where it's talking behind the shoulder, but every time it changes, the background is changing.
That's right.
Yes.
And it moves even within that shot, and it's a stylistic choice. I really liked kind of the look of her universe, and I like how each universe had a distinct look. But I can see how just stop moving for 1 second,
just for 3 seconds.
But the way I interpreted that scene is near the end, right? Where she comes back.
Yeah.
The reason why the background was the way it was like very bland because it wanted to focus on the characters.
Right.
That's how I interpret that art.
Yeah, and so I mean that art is taken very stylistically from her comic book run, where the pastel-y, a lot of whites and kind of splatters and that kind of thing. And so I like that they kept to that, and it gives it a very, very distinct look. When you're in that universe versus in 1610 Miles's universe. One thing that the big twist, one of the big twists at the end is of course that Miles is in the wrong universe.
That's right.
Because he's in Earth 42 because of the spider and not in Earth 1610. Because on my second rewatch I noticed that any shot of in 1610. So when Miguel and Ben and Jessica are chasing him and following his dad, and when Ghost Spider eventually goes, Gwen goes, it's raining. But when Miles is actually just swinging home, it's not raining. Yeah. And you don't notice that, but they've already planted that it's a different universe. I could really talk about this movie for so long. The emotional beats I thought landed all really, really well. I think probably in terms of what you're saying, the weakest point that I would shorten is his relationship with his mother. And I know they wanted to set that up in the beginning, that he tries to tell her and they try to have a moment and she feels that she's kind of losing her son, and then to set up at the end when he does tell her and she doesn't know who Spider-Man is, this is the wrong universe. But but by the end I was very interested in the whole thing. But one of the little children that I was with, he was like rocking in his chair and playing, because this is the Lord of the Rings kind of Return of the King ending problem. Yeah. It could have ended when they sent them both home. Yeah. It could have ended when they revealed he's in the wrong universe, but it doesn't. It could have ended when they revealed that the Prowler is Miles, but it doesn't. It still goes on, and then there's the shot of Gwen, forming the team, and there's so many different endings. And I get it; they want to tie off all the threads that they've set up in this movie that were meant for this movie to resolve. It just, the ending, I think you were talking about, did feel like it dragged a little bit. I was okay with it. I can see how that can be a criticism.
Yeah, no, again, they had to do it, right? They wanted to leave on a kind of a positive, upbeat feeling. You know, when the team came together. Like when I saw, was it Spider Noir?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Nicolas Cage.
But he doesn't say anything. Yeah.
I was actually,
He wanted to say something to get some more money.
Yeah.
Give me a line, please.
No, I was actually very happy to see that team kind of come
Yeah.
together. So that was good. I mean, you left feeling, hey, I'm looking forward to the third one.
Right. And actually, Nick Cage is the only one that doesn't have a line. Because Penny talks to Miles when they're surrounding him. And then they replay one of Spider-Ham's lines in the windows as he's swinging. But Noir, there's no line for him. Anyway, they're saving him for a triumphant return.
Yeah, they're doing that for sure.
No, I like that. I like that they told a new story, but they still managed to pull back in, their original crew from the first one, and they're setting up for. Oh, I'm very excited for this final one.
Okay.
Any other thoughts?
Well, okay, so can we kind of tangent a little bit? So, first of all, because it was written by Lord and Miller, you felt some of the Lego movie elements in it. Actually, they literally
That
had
Lego universe was great. My kids love that.
And so immediately after watching this film, I went online. Oh, what Lego sets are out?
Okay.
They didn't make any.
Okay.
Did you know that? They made no Across the Spider-Verse Lego sets.
Why is that?
Did they make any for Into the Spider-Verse?
I believe they did, because they had Miles Morales, Spider-Man, right? All I'm saying is that I was ready to buy some Lego.
Yeah.
Because cross promotion, right?
Yep.
But they had no sets, and I don't know why. Is it like an agreement with Sony or something? So that was rather disappointing, because Wakanda Forever got 4 Lego sets.
I mean, definitely this seems like a missed opportunity for toys. Like each of the Spider-Men, of the hundreds that you're setting up, you could sell in sets and make, the interest. I mean, the theaters were packed.
Right.
Are there early trackings for how the movie is doing?
Yeah, 260 million.
Jeez. Yeah.
Global.
That's great. Yeah.
Opening weekend.
I think it's
120 domestic.
Wow.
And that's a lower estimate.
Yeah.
It might exceed that once they get the actuals.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to get.
Yeah, it's a wasted opportunity.
Who's Miguel again? He's
Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah, I wanted to get that minifigure.
Another good example of the way he moved, the way he fought was so unique.
It was
Everyone
very
had
aggressive.
their own style. Yeah.
And they did a great job with this whole movie.
I can't stop singing the praises for this movie.
I'm just saying they could have made a lot of money on merchandise.
So. Yeah.
I'm sure they have the hot toys and the adult toys.
Right. Lego.
Okay,
Lego.
Yeah.
They have the Lego universe. Why can't they have Lego?
Spider-Man is always going to sell.
Always.
It's so iconic. We have a few Spider-Men from different things. It's always going to sell.
When and they even tied together the Venom when he popped into Earth. I forget what designation it was, but with the shop owner, the convenience store owner from when those movies were coming out. And when Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage, or whatever it's called, came out, it's like, and even with Craven coming out, as a Spider-Man fan, it like hurts. Yeah. Like, oh, why does Sony have this license? They're
butchering it.
They're completely butchering it. But then Into the Spider-Verse comes out, and then Across the Spider-Verse, like they're knocking it out of the park. This Marvel could not have done this. This was Marvel has to play it so safe.
Yep.
Right? They can't take risks like this, and the Into the Spider-Verse broke so much animation ground, and this is able to follow in the footsteps and grow the universe, tell good stories, and leave us wanting for more for the third one. I love this movie. This is an A+ for me. I'm jumping right to it. It's an A+.
Surprise.
This is honestly, it's the same feeling I had when I left Everything Everywhere. Like, oh my goodness. Like, especially, I mean, they're both like multiverse kind of movies, right? But I also love Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero. So this kind of has an added bonus. I don't think this will win Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Academy Awards generally
sweeping all the categories.
Yeah, I don't think it will be like that. I cannot imagine another animated movie being better than this, so it's an easy prediction for this to win.
Trolls.
Band Together, it is called. But I'm almost certain this will win the animated Oscar.
So it'll be back-to-back Oscar wins for this team.
Yeah, and then all eyes will be on the third one to see whether it can close. Yeah, you raised a good point. Closing out a trilogy, because then you have Aliens 2 and Aliens 3.
Yeah, that was...
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad examples.
Yeah. So let's hope that... we're great.
I'm going to be Mr. Negative. It's going to be an A- for me. Just because it was that way with everything as well.
Yes.
Just because of the visual medium and sort of the onslaught that I got. It was a bit long. But
he's the oldest one of the three of us here.
Yeah. But Batman is my favorite superhero, and I like that pace of...
You gave that a higher grade than I did.
Yeah, I always will give Batman a higher grade. He's my first superhero because it's a lot of brooding.
When it's done well.
But it's different. It's brooding and thinking and slow movements.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Batman and Robin wasn't.
Okay, well, that's not going to get a high grade.
Not brooding.
Rob, what are you going to give it?
No, I'm also going to give it an A- too. There were some issues I had with, again, length. I think certain parts could have been cut out.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the thing is that what parts would you cut out?
Yeah.
Right. And for you to be able to looking at it as an animated film, that's supposed to be geared towards children. Like again, my son was also kind of squirming. Like my daughter, she's older, right? She's a preteen. She loved it. But then my son was like, "When is this over?" Right? So it was.
Oh, that's ouch!
So be like quiet.
So
you can leave the theater.
So
you wait outside.
that impacted my experience.
Sure.
Right. But overall, this is definitely an A- film.
Yeah.
For me, there were certain. I had some issues. It's not perfect, right?
Yeah.
But it was good, great storytelling.
I don't even know how I would rank this. Compared to the first one. In terms of the first one. Is The Matrix, is A New Hope. It's just, it was so different and new. But this one...
The first one, I was rewatching some of it. It just tells a more grounded story. It's just about his origin.
Right.
And the first 20 minutes, I really enjoyed it. He's just a kid who's struggling through life and his relationship with his parents. He's trying to figure that out. And and then he comes across, what's going on? I got some powers. So, it's an origin story. So, it's hard to beat an origin story.
It is, It's more
this
simple.
one, they were not trying to tell it again. They were let's expand it, make it crazy.
Yep.
Let's bring in all the Spider-Men. Let's tell this gigantic story. And then, we'll see what happens in the third one. I'm going to assume they resolve it.
March 24, I think.
Okay, that's pretty soon.
That is pretty soon.
Yeah.
March or May, something like that.
Yeah.
I hope it's sooner than that.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, those are our grades. Did you love this as much as I did? Or closer to them? Or maybe worse than them? Maybe this was just too much and it was just noise for you. Maybe you're one of those kids on the phone. Get off your phone in the theaters.
Yes, definitely, please.
But until next episode, keep watching excellent Spiderverse movies.
Love, and we really do appreciate your support. Please do like and subscribe, comment. Love to hear from you.
Oh, we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts
yes.
if you want to listen to us and not look at us. Thank you. Flip.